welcome back to the podcast, Miss Fatima. I really appreciate you taking some time to not only just bless us with your presence, but to do so again on this Valentine's Day Eve. I like to start each episode off by asking, like, how are you genuinely doing?
I am genuinely doing well, figuring it out as I go and being open. That's how I'm doing. I don't have it all figured out, but I'm open to it all of the experiences, all of the things that come with this thing we call life. So I'm doing good overall. Thank you for asking.
Fair, of course, of course. And I know we were talking a little bit before that. I had mentioned recently listening to our previous episode, which I'll link everything along with all of your ways to connect. But it's interesting because you blessed us with a sound bath in the beginning. So amazing, something to go back to. But it's interesting because we started kind of talking about like age and your the wisdom that you bring into a space and how beautiful your skin looks. And it's interesting because you made it very clear then the things that really worked. And those are the same exact things that you said works now, which is water, sleep, decreasing stress, having a healthier, positive outlook, and the probably most important, but not really, the oils and the butters.
Mhm. Yeah, nothing much has changed. I will say one of the things I've added is good dental care.
Fair.
Just like really paying special attention to gum care. That's something I'm learning as I get older.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah.
always about having the white teeth, but making sure those gums are healthy. I know
No,
that's not glamorous, but yeah, that's one thing I'll add.
no, but it's real. I mean, our teeth has so many nerve endings in there. Like they're very
Yes,
important.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, okay, fair. So, I mean, just to kind of like set the tone, I've been thinking a lot of these different developmental milestones that we experience
Mm,
throughout life, whether it's like
mhm,
in the context of a theoretical perspective, or even just kind of like noticing how me and my peers are experiencing very similar things, or certain groups of my clients are experiencing very similar things. And so I thought it would be really beautiful to get your insight on the, I want to say like the reality of like aging and gaining wisdom. Of course, that's subjective because it's your personal experience. I guess my intention is to kind of like debunk the fear of aging and
mhm,
what that's supposed to look like or where life is supposed to be. And I
mhm.
think you've already set that tone in the beginning. You were like, you're still figuring it out. You're still trial and erring. And I think that's very freeing to hear, considering it feels like I need to have it figured out when I was 15.
Yeah. True, true. I will say the only thing about aging that becomes an issue is when other people remind you of it. One of my good friends, she said, I don't even think about it or even notice it. I just feel like me. I just feel like me. I just feel like Fatima. Fatima
Mm,
at 40, Fatima at 30, 20, 15. I just feel like me. I
yeah.
feel basically, with the exception of the things that I've gone through in life, school, college, career, family, having kids, I'm pretty much at the core the same person. I'm goofy, I'm silly, I like to have fun, I like to try new things, I love being around people.
Mm,
Those core things haven't changed. So just kind of navigating my way. You sort of notice the little things like when people will say miss or ma'am. And then you're like, who are they talking to? Oh, wait. Oh, are they talking to me? Oh, thank you. Thank you, baby. I appreciate it. That kind of thing. As far as aging, I would say one of the biggest challenges for me was perimenopause and menopause.
Mm-hmm.
Like those changes that you go through. And I'm so happy to see that we're talking about it more and people know and understand more about it. I was reading somewhere, I think it was Vanessa Williams, the former Miss America actress and singer, and she was saying she wished she had known more about perimenopause because she and her mom had so many years where they just weren't getting along. And so if she had known what her mom was going through mentally, physically, I've read that it's similar to being pregnant. Like your body feels like it's pregnant. So you're having all those symptoms.
Yeah.
The weight gain, the moodiness, the crankiness, the not sleeping, the hot flashes, all of those things. So once I learned to navigate that, then it was all good. It was all gravy from there because I understood what it was and there are things that I can do to alleviate those symptoms and to get to a better mental state of mind. And I'm telling you, meditation and yoga and the sound healing has really helped with that as well.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I appreciate you bringing that up because um being a woman is so beautiful and yet
Hmm.
so overwhelming sometimes. Like I am currently like in a space with my cycles where my luteal phases have been whooping my butt. Like to a point where I'm just like,
Ooh,
what is wrong?
yeah.
And
Yeah.
as you're mentioning, having the conversations, educating ourselves on what's possible during these pivotal times.
Hmm.
I mean, I had a conversation with a wonderful individual who talks a lot about like womb health and the connections with our menstrual cycle to nature in general. And it really opened my eyes that like for some of us we're not prepared for our cycle. We're just told don't get pregnant and make sure you have a pad on.
Right.
Like
Right. We really had no clue what was happening to our bodies and why. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like I
Like,
said, I'm so grateful that that's changing, that people are talking about it more. I was blessed that my mom talked to me about it a lot.
mhm, mhm.
In fact, when I started, I was ready. I had my kit, my little box with everything I need and all of that. So I felt that I was ready. But that's not the case for a lot of people, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well,
the other thing that happens as we age is we are reminded of our mortality. You're going along life and everything's good. You're working, you're living, you're doing your thing, and then people in your circle start having health challenges and dying,
mhm.
right? And so then you start thinking about your own mortality. Like, wow, my best friend of 30 years, I've lost a couple of people in the last couple of years, and so from cancer, different things like that. And so you start to think about your mortality. And I'm a cancer survivor. I've been cancer free for over 30 years, but I've had some residual the things that they use to fight the cancer causes other problems. So I've dealt with that over the years, but overall I'm healthy. I feel great. And I just try to focus on the here and now and being the best person I can be now, the
Yeah.
healthiest person I can be now,
Mhm,
doing the things that I want to do now.
mhm,
And I don't, yeah, I would say um, I love, when I was younger, I loved being around older people more.
mhm,
I felt that younger people my age didn't get me or they were too immature. So I liked hanging out with, women who were 10 years older than me, and they would call me their little sis and things like that. And I'm still friends with those women today. And
mhm.
so that's one of the reasons why I I feel I can age better because I see how they're aging and the things that they're accomplishing and the things that they're doing. And now as I get older, I find that I like hanging out with younger people more. Because some of the people that are my age, they're ready to slow down or they have different views. And I still feel like I'm young at heart. I go hiking with one of my friends who's young enough to be my daughter. I have clients that invite me out to different things, and they're surprised when I show up. Like if I show up, someone's performing at a club, and they're like,
Mhm.
"Oh," I'm like, "Yeah, of course,
Fair.
I'm going to come out and support you. I don't mind being at a club or whatever, you know." So
Mhm.
I'm really enjoying this part of my life.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. I mean, I'm hearing the most difficult thing about aging is, like you said, being reminded when
Yeah, that
people.
part.
So,
And then of course the even though I feel like I'm in pretty good physical shape, I do yoga and I teach when I teach my classes, I have all ages
mhm.
and some of the young girls have a hard time keeping up with me.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
that makes me feel good, but I still notice things, getting up and down is a little more challenging, the little creaks and cracks here and there, the
Mhm.
little noises that take place when the knees pop, things like
Fair.
that. But overall, I feel good and I'm really excited about this next step, this
Yeah.
realizing that I am an elder now. I shared with you that I turned 60 in
Mhm.
September. And
Yeah.
when you say that out loud, it's like, wait, like I said, I feel like just me.
Mm.
So I feel like the Fatima of about 35,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
mentally, physically, and all those things. So I tell all my young friends, live your life without
Mhm.
fear and just go for it and
Yeah.
just savor every moment, follow your dreams,
Mhm.
listen to your intuition, all those things.
Yeah. All the cliche things that
Hmm,
we
yeah,
hear
that's
but are
true. Yeah.
very, very
Hmm.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And I mean, keep moving your body because
Yes.
the fact that I agree that I would probably be
Mhm.
the younger person, like, hold on, I can't keep up. What is happening?
Yeah. Yeah. I had an aunt who lived to be 94, and she told me, she said, keep moving and
Mm,
move fast.
fair, fair. No,
Have
that's
some pep in
real.
your step when you're walking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, when you think of like the last 1 to 2 decades of your life, what do you feel like is
Mm.
maybe the biggest internal shift for you?
Whew. I would say spiritual.
Mhm.
That was a big shift for me. Like, really, just how I choose to be spiritual, how I choose to connect to God is going within. Whereas before, it was more about church and being active in church and doing for everybody else and working and just really not having that time to sit quietly and just go within. So that's been a big part for me.
Mhm.
Um, what else? I would say getting to a place kind of where you don't care. I know that sounds odd, but you have to like not care about what people think of you, not care about what they have to say about you or their judgments. And I think that comes with age because I hear a lot of people as they get older, like usually around 45, 50, you'll hear women start to say, I really don't care. I really don't care what people think. I'm not gonna people please anymore. It's almost like a switch turns on, because you kind of, at that age, you kind of look back and you say, that didn't work for me before. Being a people pleaser didn't work. Being Miss Nice to everybody didn't work. Not looking out for myself, putting everyone before me, that didn't work. So I'm gonna do things differently. And I find that when I put myself first, when I love myself first and more, then I'm open to receive love from other people because they see how you love yourself. One of the things my husband told me early on in our relationship, because this is a second marriage for me, so we married later in in life. We've been married 24 years now,
Congrats.
but he's told me, he said, I like the way you take care of yourself. So that let me know I was going in the right direction, just putting myself first and
Yeah.
not being afraid to say no if I'm tired, if I don't feel like doing something. But yeah, there just becomes a different level of self-awareness and self-love that takes place.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that makes sense, especially when during like adolescence, we're so focused on friends because they take up so much of our time and
Mhm.
they seem like the only people that understand us.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, when I think about teenagers, even like when I have to mentally prepare for them with sessions, I I I remind myself that honestly, their focus is impulsive decisions,
Mhm.
social context, what this social life look like, and just thinking everything, then you don't know anything at all.
Right. Yeah.
And so I think that's interesting because we spend so much of our time like socializing and all the things when we're younger. And then 20, 30s, you kind of start trying to figure out what your career and stuff looks like, or further education looks like. And it's almost like friend groups either dissolve or they require a lot
Mhm.
more attention because people are moving, their priorities have changed. And I think in that distance, it does allow us to recognize, are we people pleasing? Am I overextending? And so it's like a time frame for us to naturally like reflect on our
Mhm.
interpersonal
Yeah.
relationships. And then as you mentioned, like, as we get older, our priorities shift. We realize that we need to prioritize ourselves. And so it's kind of like, if it's not reciprocal and not in a transactional way, then it's not for me. And so I could definitely see how like you kind of care a little bit less because your
Yeah.
priorities change. You experience a lot more. And that's for some people, right? Like some people are still very hyper focused on
Yeah.
friends and people
Mhm.
pleasing and all the things. But I mean, this sounds very liberating to know that like the pressure of quote unquote aging is more societal than it is like intrapersonal. Like,
It really is. But
yeah.
it's harder for some people than others. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it just depends. I think for me, I don't know. I think I went through that phase where you almost feel like you're invisible, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you go, say if you, because I love being around all types of people. So I would just start up a conversation with anybody. So that doesn't matter to me. But I think once you know who you are and believe that you have something to offer, then people are drawn to that. And they want that wisdom. It's
Yeah.
just good energy, right? Good energy, good vibes, and that comes through no matter what. I think there are some people who become old and grumpy and people will want to stay away from them because
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where they are in that moment. But I'm just at a place where I love me and I love people, and the people who are for me, they see that, and those are the people that are drawn to me and vice versa. So
Yeah.
yeah, you know.
Fair.
And I'm blessed that I have a good core group of friends, some that I've known for many years, some that are new to my life, and we have to make time. We literally have to sit down and put things in our calendar. That's how we all live now. And you have to make time for the people who are important to you. You have to just put it in your calendar as an appointment,
Yeah.
and stay true to it. And when you do, because I know I hear women say this all the time that, oh, I wish I hadn't told so and so I was going to do this or go here or go there. And we all feel like that because we're so busy. A lot of times we're tired. But when we say, okay, I promise I would be there, I'm going to go, you always end up having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
And you're
Mm-hmm.
always happy that you went.
Yeah.
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 So
Fair.
just finding that balance to and honoring your body, your mental when you're just a little tired and not feeling up to something versus when you're exhausted and really need to stay home and rest.
Yeah.
Just finding that balance.
What would you say community and boundaries and that level of discernment, how has that changed in a practical sense for you versus from now versus before? So like within your communities when you were 20, 30, what did that like prioritization kind of look like? Does that question make sense?
I think so. I think like for instance, we were talking about business, right?
Mhm.
And feeling a certain kind of way about charging for our labor or what. I can
Mhm.
remember when I was younger, when I was in my 20s and on my own and money was tight, 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 tight,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And people would ask me to babysit. And then when they would come pick their kid up and they would offer me money and I would say, "Oh no, no, thank you. No, no, this was fun. This is fun." Knowing that I needed this money, right? Like I really could have used that 10, 20, $30 or whatever that was, but just feeling like, "Oh no, I can't take money for this for my labor," or whatever it was, even though they were offering, and just feeling like I wasn't worthy,
Mhm.
right? I wasn't worthy of things, whether it was being compensated for my labor or just being rewarded in any way, or I wasn't worthy of having fun, having joy, or just resting. And as I've gotten older, I realized that I am.
Mhm.
I'm worthy of that and being okay, being
Mhm.
okay with that. If someone wants to reward me with something or give me a gift, I wouldn't accept gifts. Now I'm
Mhm.
like, thank you, thank you.
Uh,
I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. But also, I think feeling like I needed to have people like me. And
mhm.
maybe that was part of it. Maybe they'll like me more if I don't take their money or if I do things for free all the time or if I'm constantly working trying to prove myself. So just not feeling that need to prove myself so much, just being okay the way that I am and being okay with those who appreciate the way that I am and being okay with those who don't.
Yeah. Oh, are you like in my closet? Because that is so me. Like, no, it's fine. Knowing I don't know how I'm about to pay this next bill tomorrow.
Right.
I
Right.
I think for me, kind of as you mentioned, what we were talking about, I think that even kind of just goes in, as you mentioned, level of worthiness, but like the conversation around money, it feels so tense all the time. It feels
Yeah.
like very overwhelming. And maybe that's just like my perspective. But when you said that, I can vividly think of experiences where I'm like, no, it's okay. And I think it's maybe because I also would have wanted someone to do that for me. Maybe like
Yeah. That part too.
seeing that okay, I
Yeah.
actually don't have it, and sometimes it's not about the money, like for me sometimes it is just like the energetic exchange, the fact
Yeah.
that we can have this great conversation, or the fact that I can be of support for your kids and the babysitting example.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I don't know, I mean, kind of just going back to the theme of this conversation, I think it's always important to continue to learn yourself and like understand yourself, because as you mentioned, like you're the same you in the sense where like of course you've evolved and grew and mature and all the things, but like the basis of who we are always going to be the same,
Mhm.
and how we choose to treat ourselves and allow others to treat us is seems like what is always going to be important.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say another thing that's is a major change from say 10, 20 years ago is that I'm the mother of adult daughters.
Mhm, mhm,
So that has been an area of growth for me and for them,
yeah.
um, because they'll always be my little girls, right? But they're
Mhm,
young women now. They're in their 30s, they're in their early 30s,
yeah.
and and me really stepping back and allowing them to come into their own and them allowing me to come into my own, right?
Mhm.
Um, one of the things I was one of the conversations I had with my daughter recently is I said, "Babe, I'm not that 35-year-old mom that I was that could do everything, that could do all these things physically, right?" And she had to stop and think because she still sees me as this young, vibrant mom,
Mhm.
just like I still see her as a little girl sometimes, whatever.
Mhm.
She was like, "Mom, I'm grown." And like, I know. So just kind
Mhm.
of shifting those roles, right? And being open, me being open, because I hear so many women struggling with those mother-daughter relationships. And it saddens me so much. It just makes me so sad because I know how much I love my daughters and I know how much they love me. But we're women, we're all trying to find our own way. I mean, think about it. Like most women depending on when you have your kids, say like I had my kids in my late 20s. So by the time they hit puberty, I was in perimenopause, right? So you got teenage hormones and
Mhm.
perimenopause hormones in the same home, right?
Yeah.
And so navigating your way through that and them trying to find their way and me trying to come back to who I am and all of those things. And I think we just need to show each other grace. So I'm always so blessed when women like you reach out to me, when I have young women in my yoga classes or coming to my events and many of them who have become friends
Mhm.
because we need each other, the older women, young women, we need each other in so many ways.
Yeah. Oh, you went down a a
Oh, that,
space
that could be a whole
where
nother show, huh? The
what?
mother-daughter relationships.
I mean, first of all, I appreciate you for not only bringing that up, but on your daughter's behalf, taking the accountability and saying like, I'm not perfect either. Like there are things that I am, understanding about myself, and I can recognize that you're understanding things about yourself as well. And because as you mentioned, it can be sticky with
Yeah, it
mother-daughter
can,
relationships.
and finding that sweet spot where you're still being supportive as a mother and as a grandmother.
Mhm.
Um, that whole ad adjustment with being a grandmother, that was I love my grandbabies when they I used to hear women at work or whatever just go on and on. I'd be like, what's the big deal about grandkids? Girl. They are just everything, everything, everything. It's a different type of love. It really is. People say that, but
Mhm.
it really is a different type of love. It's like an extension of you, and you get to see your kids be parents. It's a beautiful thing. But
Yeah.
at the same time, not losing yourself,
Mhm.
right? Like spending enough quality time with them, but still, I didn't work all of these years to get to this place where I'm just going to babysit all the time.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I'm blessed that my daughter is supportive and understanding of that and knows that mama and grandmama, she has a life too and goals and dreams still.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna be 61 this year and I'm already thinking about what I want to do this year and next year and the year after. I'm still thinking that way. I still have
Hmm.
those desires and even though I'm slowing down in some areas, I'm interested in other areas. So just
Hmm.
not losing yourself.
Yeah. Do you think that's like just a part of your personality? Is this learned behavior? Because people often say like older people are just stuck in their ways. They're not gonna
Mhm.
change, they're not gonna have different outlooks in life. And again, even as you discuss like the mother-daughter relationship, a lot of times there's this connotation that like you're the child and we will always be the
Yeah,
child.
yeah.
But
Right.
like as if like you said, we're not adults.
Right.
We're not
Yeah.
also navigating this experience, and even you wanting like having boundaries as a grandparent. I feel like most grandparents, they want to get fully involved, like I'm babysitting any single time you need me, and you're like, I still love my babies, I'm still babysitting, and I still got some things to check off
Yeah.
my bucket list. Like, is this just a part of who you are? Did you have to learn this?
I think it's both.
The soft landing, a gentle return to yourself, a space to arrive exactly as you are. No filters, no performance, just presence. If you don't know, we're going to be announcing our offering dates quarter by quarter. So, quarter one was so, so beautiful. Thank you for all of those who showed up, who showed out, who supported. You are greatly, greatly appreciated. And for quarter two, i.e., April, May, June, we have April 11th and 12th, which is my birthday month. And we have May the 9th and the 10th, and June 6th to the 7th. We so hope to see you there.
I think it's a part of who I am. I think I've always been like this free-spirited type of person, willing to, I mean, I left home at 17 and joined the Navy, okay? So I've always been like this free spirit, want to try something different, do something different, but also still very family oriented and wanting to be there for my family too. But I know some of those people stuck in their ways, and like I said, that's why a lot of my friends are younger.
Yeah.
But I do have a wonderful group of women in their 50s, 60s, and 70s even who are similar to me.
Mm-hmm.
And those are
Mm-hmm.
my people,
Yeah.
and as well as friends in their 20s and 30s and 40s as well. So
Yeah.
I think it's both. And there is hope for those people who are stuck in their ways because that was my mom.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And now, I remember sadly what happened with my mom. And it was our relationship wasn't even that bad, really. She was just kind of, stuck in her ways, it's my way, blah 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 kind of thing. And I just ignored her really and just did what I wanted to do anyway. But
Sure.
I remember there was a turning point where she had gone to a friend's funeral, and that particular friend had not had communication with her son in years. And
Mm-hmm.
so the son came to the funeral and just had a meltdown, was
Yeah.
like pulling on the casket, saying, Mama, I'm sorry, and all of these things. And she said it was the saddest thing she had ever seen. And she said, I know our relationship is nothing like that. And she said, I never wanted to ever be like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so it was like a turning point for us in our relationship. And also
Yeah.
when I was younger, probably in my 20s, like I grew up in a household where there was no affection. Like I knew I was loved, but there was no hugging, there was no I love you kind of thing. And
Mhm.
so I said I'm going to change that. And
Yeah.
so I was living in San Diego, my mom's in Georgia, and so we would have these weekly phone calls, and when I hung up I said I love you, and she said okay. And then we hung up. So the next week we ended the call, said I love you. And she said, all right. The next time, I love you. Okay, baby. And then eventually I said, I love you. And she said, I love you too.
Mm-hmm.
And now she says, I love you all the time. And she
Mm-hmm.
says it before me, whatever, whatever. So those people who are stuck in their ways, there are so many things that are generational, and they can come around.
Mm-hmm.
They can come around.
Okay, so keep hope alive.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive, but protect your peace.
Yes, and honestly, I think a lot of people, I don't know, it's difficult to say if there's a rise of things or if it's because we have access to technology and everyone's
I
talking
think
about it.
so. Yeah.
So I'm
I
not
think
sure.
so.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like a rise of people being estranged from their family or their parents or kind of going no contact, but I do feel
Hmm.
like I'm seeing a lot more of those conversations.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm wondering, like, for maybe the adult child, what would you advise for like parents to not be stuck in their ways in that way? Like if they are feeling like, oh well, I'm the adult, you're always going to be the kid, you need to talk to me, respect is supposed to be
Hmm.
given to me. Like what advice would you give to parents that feel that way, and even maybe adult
Oh, wait.
adult.
Wow. I would say that peace and joy can come when you release control.
Mm,
And are you really feeling peace and joy when you feel like you have to be in control over other people all the time and in control over their lives, and trust that you did the things that you were supposed to do so that your adult children can navigate their lives the way they need to.
yeah.
And it's okay if they make mistakes. We made mistakes. And I
Mhm.
know, one of the things that's hard for a lot of us is we want to prevent our children from making the same mistakes. We want to prevent them from hurting the way that we hurt and
Mhm.
all of those kinds of things. And we can do the best we can, but we really need to let them find their own way. And when it comes to being a grandparent, we need to let them mother and father their children.
Mhm.
And that's a hard one.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
hard one
yeah.
because we love those little ones so much and we love them. And again, we want everyone to have it easier than we had it. But at the same time, we got to know when to let go. And it's
Mhm.
okay.
Mhm.
And find you something to do. Get busy, enjoy your life. Try those things. If when you're doing those things that you always wanted to do, then you're focusing a little bit on yourself instead
Mhm.
of what's going on over there. And it's okay to focus on yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be the starting advice that I would have for other people in
Yeah.
my age group.
I love the way you answer that. It was very like very on point, but also very respected to the many outliers that can consist of those dynamics because it is
Yes,
so
yeah.
nuanced.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
really is.
Fair.
Mhm.
What does like embodiment and wisdom look like for you now compared to your earlier years? I was talking to you a little bit about when I was listening to the episode, it was very cringy from the first time that we recorded because I can hear the baby therapist in me that like just wants to say all the right things and like was just talking a lot. And the years following was almost real life practice of all those
Mhm.
cliche things or all the things that I was saying. And so, yeah, how has like embodiment and wisdom evolved for you over the years?
One thing I've realized is that we go through so many seasons, like life is full of these seasons. And so we have to have an understanding that this is where I am right now. And I'm going to work my way through this and I'm going to look forward to the next season.
Mm-hmm.
I think especially when I was younger, you kind of get stuck. You think like, okay, all I am right now is a mama. I don't have a life. I don't have anything. Well, that was my season, and
Mm-hmm.
I chose that. And so while I'm in this season, I'm gonna enjoy it and love it and whatever, and know that this is not the end all be all.
Yeah.
When that next season comes, I'm gonna be open to that. So that's kind of where I am now. Just that wisdom, like just having an understanding that saying this too shall pass.
Mm-hmm.
This is not all there is, even though it feels like it in that moment. But learn the lessons so that we can get to the next point. Now I'm in a place where when I go through a bad situation, and it took me time to get here, but when I go through a bad situation, I sit back and I'm like, ooh, wee, what is coming up now? Because I've experienced this before, right?
Yeah.
When I've gone through something bad or trying or troublesome, it's there for a minute. I get through it, and then it's on to something that's even better, something I never even thought about, something wonderful. And so now I sit back and instead of doing the why me, why is this happening now, blah 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 blah, I say, okay, I'm gonna do what I need to do to get through this because I know there's something amazing
Mhm.
around the corner, and I actually look forward to it, and
Yeah.
it helps me get through it. And
Mm.
it never fails. There's always something better around the corner. So
Mm.
just kind of focusing on that. Meditation has helped me a lot. Like
Mhm.
just finding those moments where I sit quiet and I get what I call downloads
Mhm.
when I meditate. and I write it down, those messages that come to you when you quiet your mind.
Mhm.
So that's where a lot of the wisdom comes from, and just lived and learned experiences, talking to people who are older than me and more experienced than me, and knowing that I'm still learning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still learning and still growing. There's still so much to learn and so much more wisdom to gain.
Yeah. The biggest thing I'm hearing is not being so reactive all the time, like being
Hmm.
able to kind of like slow down and making the choice to see the glass half full, if you will.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's really really big because a lot of times when we're like in the storm, it feels like there's no way out. Where am I supposed to
Hmm.
go from here?
Right.
But as you mentioned, it's like almost remembering the storms that you did get out of,
Hmm.
and the same way you were equipped to do the thing then, you're more than equipped to do it now.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah.
okay.
And keeping that same mentality you had as a kid, when you wanted to do something and you believe that you could do it, and someone said, "Oh, I don't know, maybe you should try this or that instead," and you had that mindset, like they don't know what they're talking about. I'm gonna try this, and just really not giving up, having that spirit of not giving up. And someone said that as long as you still have breath, you can do it. You can try something new.
Yeah, yeah.
It might look different, but you can try it.
Fair, doesn't hurt to try.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you tell your 20, 30-year-old self?
Mm. I would tell her, you're going to be okay.
Mm,
That everything that's happening is happening for a reason. You don't know why now, but trust the process
mhm,
and keep going, keep working hard, keep studying, keep growing and being open to trying new things.
mm,
Hmm.
fair.
And I would say, don't stress so much. Yeah, don't stress so much. Yeah, I don't know if I shared this with you before, but I was 21 when I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer.
Mhm,
And when I look back on it and everything that I know about cancer and how different diseases manifest in the body, I was so stressed out.
yeah.
I was always worrying about everything and other people. I was just emotionally a mess. So I'm not surprised that I manifested disease in my body.
Mhm,
That doesn't surprise me. And so I see the same thing with people in my age group. We hear the stories all the time about people who retire and then 2 months later they're gone. It's because all of this stress and tension that's building up in their body, they're constantly on edge. They're constantly, just
mhm,
in that fight or flight mode about everything. And then their body finally has time to just kind of sit for a moment. And
mhm,
then, oh, wait, you mean I had a heart problem? You mean I had this going on with my body or whatever? So I say, just take care of yourself, rest, exercise, eat better.
mhm,
Um, Listen to your intuition. Those people that are not kind to you, that don't make you feel good about yourself, they shouldn't be your so-called friends, your so-called boyfriends.
mhm.
Take care of yourself. You're going to be okay.
Yeah, yeah. So these seemingly little things that we're focusing on now, they're not going in vain.
No, no. I can remember when my kids were in high school and they would just be having meltdowns if something happened with their friends at school, right? And I would say, girl, after you graduate high school, you're never going to see those people again. I mean, they're maybe you're one or two good friends, from elementary school through high school, you'll still keep it. But the rest of these people, you are never going to see them again. Why are you stressing yourself out about what they think or about what they're doing or whatever? And it's true.
Mhm.
And they learn that too.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
the things, but it's a growing process, right? Because when you're in it, that is life. You mentioned when you're in high school, that social world is it.
Yeah.
It's everything. And when you're in your 20s and your 30s, your corporate job, your career, it's everything. It feels like it in that moment.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. The priority of the time, I guess.
Yeah, and when you're a young mother, you're in it, so it seems like that's it right now, kind
Mhm.
of thing. But these are seasons,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we can look forward to the changing of the seasons and to all the goodness that's yet to come.
Yeah. Okay, so stop over identifying with these roles for
Hmm.
sure. And ooh, stress and lack of emotional regulation is such a silent killer. Like
Yeah.
finding ways to regulate our emotions are so important.
Ooh.
Finding practices to release and let go,
Hmm.
because it will manifest. It will
Yeah.
manifest in a way that we don't desire. And sometimes it really is that easy to make the choice. Like I know a lot of times, like I have clients who they hold on very tightly to their narrative, their story, the way the
Hmm.
emotion. And I mean, it's very understood, because
Hmm.
a lot of times it's traumatic, it's heavy, it feels like a part of their identity. But we all have to find a way how to release things that we do not need, because carrying them, as you mentioned, can lead to a mountain of
Hmm.
complications later.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep. Absolutely.
Fair. Okay. What do you feel the most alive about right now?
Mm. I have the travel bug.
Mm,
So I've been blessed to do a lot of traveling in the last few years, since I retired from corporate and I'm doing my own thing.
mhm,
So I really feel alive when I interact with different cultures and different people. I feel alive in my good friendships
mhm,
and relationships. I feel alive with my grandkids.
mhm, mhm,
Because they just love me just
mhm.
because I'm yay yay. I don't have to do anything. I feel alive when I'm sharing sound healing with people and I see what it does for them. When I'm teaching yoga and meditation to people and I see what it does for them.
Mhm.
One of the reasons I got into it was because of how amazing it made me feel. And I'm like, I got to share this with people,
Yeah.
especially Black women. I got to share. This is so helpful. I got to share this with us. And so those are the things that make me feel alive just every day. Every day I wake up, I journal. I have a gratitude journal. That changed my life. A gratitude journal,
Mhm.
just writing down things you are grateful for every day, you will focus on the little things that you have to be grateful for instead of the things that don't matter really, the things
Yeah.
that you're worried about, no matter what it is. And I wake up and I write in my gratitude journal, I am so grateful that my husband made me coffee this morning. I'm so grateful that I was able to take a hot shower.
Mhm.
And the more things that you have to be grateful for, the more things you will get in your life to be grateful for.
Mm.
So that's what I'm excited about. I'm excited
Yeah.
about the future. I really am. I told you, I said, I'll be 61 this year. I'm already planning the things I want to do, signing up for classes I want to take, trips I want to take, doing the things, just living life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mentioned I lost some friends. They're not here.
Mhm.
So I feel like I'm living for myself and I'm doing a little bit for them too.
Yeah. Fair. Fair. Very, very fair. This excitement, I definitely want to take with me. That's definitely something that I'm going to take from this conversation, is to continue to be excited about life, even when it's stressful, even when
Mhm.
you are in the midst of a cycle, even when a season just feels a little unclear. I want to ask you, what is maybe one practice that you would invite someone that's in the midst of a life transition, but you made it one, you shared a lot of already beautiful things, and you also just mentioned like a gratitude journal. I think a lot of times we're looking at all the things that are going wrong in life because they are going seemingly wrong, but shifting that focus into like, but what about the beautiful things? Because they
Mhm.
deserve recognition as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think once you get into some sort of regular practice where you're doing that, it becomes, I don't know, it becomes a shift maker in how you
Mhm.
see things and think, because I went through some things like about a month ago where I was having a spirit of complaining.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
we all go through that, right? I was having a spirit of complaining, and then it was like, this is not me, like what is going on? And so when you put into place those practices where you're taking time to say affirmations every day, do your gratitude journal, you recognize it sooner. So you
Mhm.
say, you can stop and you go like, "Oh, who is this? Who is this person doing all this complaining? And what am I complaining about?"
Right,
You
right.
know, and you can really shift gears. It's kind of like, if you like, one of the things, I'm not a heavy drinker, but I like my wine.
Mhm. Mhm.
I
Fair.
like my occasional glass of
Mhm.
wine.
Yeah.
And there have been a lot of celebrations lately, so there's always wine, but I'm trying to cut back.
Mhm.
And so when I'm out and I'm drinking socially, I'm looking at that second glass of wine. I'm like, no, no, I don't need that, or
Mhm.
whatever, because I know that that's something that I'm working on for myself,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So it's kind of like, if you're if you have these practices where you're moving your body, where you're getting your sleep, where you're doing your gratitude journals and your affirmations, and then you're able to recognize when those shifts come about, and you can say,
Mhm.
what is happening? And then you can sit back and say, okay, I need to fix this. What is
Yeah.
going on in my life that's making me complain? What's
Mhm.
going on in my life that's making me feel angry? And why am I feeling angry? You know,
Yeah.
is it hormones? I don't know. Is it just that I'm not, and for me, I wasn't sleeping.
Mhm.
That's what it was.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I was cranky. I was
Yeah.
cranky. And so I said, okay, I got to shift this. I have to go back to my regular time that I go to sleep, my routine. I
Yeah.
was on the screens before bed, and it was not allowing me to sleep. So I
Mhm.
have to cut that out,
Yeah, yeah,
kind of
yeah.
things. So just practicing those things helps you. What is that repetition, right? That
Mhm.
repetition, so that when you do find yourself in the dark spaces, sometimes it's not yours. Sometimes it's people can be mean and get on your nerves
Mhm.
and all those things. And then it knocks you back into that space. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to allow people to bring me there,
Yeah.
because I've worked too hard to not be there. So just finding those times where you can recognize it and then work your way out of it. And it takes
Yeah.
practice. It does. So don't be hard on yourself.
Yes. Practices saved my life. They stress me out too, but
Yes. Yeah.
I wholeheartedly agree that make it a practice.
Hmm.
Um, because we're making things a practice anyways, whether we
Yeah.
notice it, we're creating habits regardless. So if we're going to create a habit, make it a conducive one. And so I love that. Even when I kind of, as you mentioned, when I feel a shift or something is happening, I know that either one, I am not um focusing on an anchoring practice,
Mm,
um or I've created another a
yeah.
practice that's unhealthy. But two, like I'm not exploring what's happening. And I know you mentioned like after you gain that awareness of, okay, I am having the spirit of complaining, you allowed yourself to explore a little bit and say, you know what? It is as simple as my sleep. these
Hmm.
increased screens. And
Yeah.
sometimes it is that simple, like
Right.
social media is not going anywhere. The show is not going anywhere. But that really affects us. And I think we're still figuring out the
Yeah.
manifestations of
Hmm.
screens and this constant stimulation. But sometimes it is as simple as, okay, maybe we got to fix the sleeping pattern. Maybe we got to
Hmm.
decrease the screen time, create a gap between going to bed and your screen time.
Yeah.
So,
A nighttime routine to
yes.
help yourself wind down. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair. Well, I so appreciate you always for not even just this conversation, but um always holding space like doing another podcast. You were so open, so
Oh,
welcoming.
thank you. I'm just so grateful that people are interested in what I have to say.
For sure. For
Like,
sure.
oh, sure, you want to have a talk with me? Sure.
You definitely provide wisdom even if you're not trying, like even again our conversation offline, like it felt freeing to be reminded like you could take up space, and that's always
Mhm.
been a challenge, like you are allowed to take up space and
Yeah.
remember your worth while you take up space.
Hmm.
And even that was something that I'm going to take personally and to constantly remind myself, because it could be, it could be a little difficult and intimidating to do so
Hmm.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh,
And I am a self-care advocate. So just whatever that is, whatever that, if it's just taking a bubble bath, if it's going for a walk, if it's reading a book, having some tea, whatever that is for you, if it's going somewhere and dancing and shaking your booty, whatever you need to do, we have to take those breaks and take care of ourselves.
yeah. Okay. Like I said, I will put everything in the show notes on how to connect with you. But is there anything else you would like to leave our listeners with? Any offerings coming up that you would like us to support?
Oh, well, let's see. I am working on expanding and growing music on the streaming platforms. I have a Spotify channel and Pandora and Apple Music, so I'm working on that. Growing my YouTube channel. We talked about that, so you guys can meditate with me that way. I still do my virtual self-care Sundays, the first and third Sundays of the month, where we meet on Zoom and we journal and do sound bath meditation, some gentle yoga. And I shared with you that during COVID, when I started that, I was doing it free and donation based. So I've kept it at a low $10. And I get women from all over the world, and we just come together and meditate and move our bodies and just take care of ourselves and get that self-care that we all need that I was just talking about.
Yes, yes. Thank you for creating the container. So, so much.